So it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive.
All right. Oh, we got Scott in the studio with us. We are just walking back in the room. Sorry about the delay, but you understand.
We are live, huh?
Oh, yeah.
All right, my bad. That was a little slow going.
Let me get the social ticker going here.
Operating the cellular device.
What's going on with Scott?
Well, winter is officially among us.
Yes, it is.
It's cold. I'm going to be excited to get down to Virginia just for, 48, 56 hours, something like that?
Yeah, no, it was like 57 or 58 yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
straight down.
All right, we got the chats on above Scott's head there, so you can see. Is that your phone with sound? Yes.
Oh!
Thought I heard myself speaking.
Throw the flag. Throw the flag.
That's all right. All right, we got about 60 in the room. We'll just kind of ease in here. We're just here to, we're heading out Sunday. I've been saying that over and over. But Scott's with us. I think I know Woodman, and then we got Jaws, I believe, for sure.
Sergeant Jaworski, I believe, is going to join us.
All right.
That's yet to be seen. 5 a.m. start time.
Roll call.
From here.
Yeah.
So that's going to be 4 a.m. for him to get going. Maybe he's watching right now. I just let him know we were in the studio. So Jaws, if you're watching, make sure you set your alarm clock for 3:30 in the morning, or just don't go to sleep.
Bus leaves. We need you mentally prepared. You are first to drive, I think. I'm sure.
No, not after a Saturday night. Nope.
All right, we'll see who makes it. Buffering like crazy. If you're buffering, I see it's kind of yellow for us. Stream health is mediocre. I got a strong signal. We'll see.
They know we're coming. They're going to start shutting us down.
Back out of the room real quick and jump back in is one thing I could recommend that might kind of do a reset for you. All right, we'll probably get to some phone calls here soon. I know Scott's probably excited for that. We'll take some phone calls, but not at this minute. What have you heard so much about Virginia? And I know you've been busy, but in the tidbits of what you have been able to pick up.
My understanding is the governor's a little nervous. I think the media is trying to portray this as guns aren't allowed in certain buildings only. I think that, but what they're not really getting in depth with is, I guess that's a two-part answer, is Pandora's box. Once they set those laws, then there's litigation in there that allows them to go even further, and that's what this is really all about. I mean, I'm not opposed to, because it happens everywhere around the world. It's been going on in this country for a long time. You're not allowed to take guns into a courtroom or federal buildings and things like that. So I'm not really alarmed that that's what's going on, but I know that's not what's going on. That you don't just get 100-some thousand plus people all upset and worked into a tizzy over simple legislation like that. So you really have to read into it, and what I've read into is just that the verbiage and the lawyerisms behind that initial law that is going to allow them to basically just subjecting everybody to search and seizure type things. It's kind of like what we've laughed about before, where they'll go in and not necessarily find anything on Trump, right?
Yeah.
The whole Trump thing. Oh, you're guilty first, and then we're going to open an investigation. Then we're going to come find a reason to charge you and blah blah blah. So, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to use the big fancy words. We're going to actually let the people in Virginia. I'm going to do my best to search out and find some people that have factual evidence and have some good credibility. Maybe some cops. I'd like to talk to a couple of sheriffs while I'm down there. I did listen to one sheriff the other night that was saying, come hell or high water, he'll deputize 1,000 people in his county, and he's not going to enforce these laws. So when you hear that kind of speech from the sheriffs, then you know it's not just the court buildings or the federal buildings that they're talking about. Why would he have to be worried about enforcing laws and going and confiscating people's guns if it was only at the level of federal buildings, or state buildings, I suppose?
This is eerily familiar to, like, revolutionary. I mean, it's like, you had the federal government and you had certain states not wanting to listen. I mean, this is within its own state, though. You have laws being forced down, and then you have the law enforcement. We're not going to do it. I mean, that's great for people like ourselves that are Second Amendment loving, and that's about the right thing to do. But the scarier thing is that you have the people in positions trying to do that.
Correct.
And that creates, it doesn't flow well if so how does it move forward from that? You got, laws on the books that aren't being enforced. What's next? Or... you just can't
It
operate.
presents a problem for anarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, well, look, they're not following these laws. Why are we going to follow? So it's kind of childish.
And it's not that we're saying you should follow the laws put in by these people. No, I'm saying no. That's not what we're saying. But I'm just trying to understand.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm looking at it from both angles. Number one, I'm going down there in support of the people's rights, citizens' rights. Virginia went blue in Congress, their state Congress, and I cannot believe that this was going to be one of the very first things they tried to do.
I didn't mean to do that. Well, and that's what, real quickly, just on that topic, if you look up, I got all of Trump's tweets. I was on a panel, and I want to, the people in the room, we got people joining. We got Scott here. We're talking about Virginia for the new people coming in. But really quickly, the panel I was on had talked about they can't believe that Trump's not talking about Virginia more, and he hasn't brought it up. And I was like, you're right. I mean, he hasn't. But if you go to this Trump tweets here, we can see that he was heavily talking about it right before they voted. And Scott just hit that on the head that they went blue. You said they went blue. And I'm saying, Trump says right here, great Republican Gary Higgins has my complete and total endorsement for Virginia Senate. 13th District. He is strong on crime, the border, our military, cutting taxes, and protecting your Second Amendment. Democrat John Bell will take your guns and raise your taxes. So he might not be talking about it much now, but he definitely talked about it before the voting took place that Scott was just talking about, where they went and ended up going completely blue, which is now they're in the situation. Now, did they really vote blue, or did they get a little bit of voter fraud happening? I don't know. I can't speculate. I mean, we know voter fraud is a possibility, but do we know that? I don't know. Let me see. Virginia, mass amount of defense, talking about, I mean, I can just sit here and look all day long, folks. He warned. He definitely warned. So we were talking about Governor Ralph Northam. He also comes out with a threat that he thinks he knows about, some intel, and
There we go. So Monday, January 20th is traditionally known as Lobby Day in Virginia. And this year, with Governor Ralph Northam and a Democratic majority set to roll out tighter gun safety legislation, gun rights proponents plan to turn out in numbers around the Capitol to press their case against it. So it says tens of thousands are expected. I've seen as much as 120, 130,000. I don't know where they're getting these numbers unless they just, randomly had some kind of a poll or a place that people could check in and say, hey, I'm going. First of all, I didn't let anybody know I'm going. Mike knew. My wife knew. But I guess now you guys know. It's just, I'm a little annoyed, or not annoyed, a little worried about what types of things can happen when large crowds get together to try to get their point across. Violence can break out at any minute. It takes one idiot. I surely hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And like, I've been in touch with the VCDL, the Virginia's Citizen Defense League, the people putting on this lobby, this rally, because it's not a protest. Protests are different from rallies and lobbies. This is different. But now I see here, I'm looking at Ralph Northam. This judge denied a request to block the executive order to put in executive, that there's a threat. We're just asking this guy, where is he getting his information? Neo-Nazis are threatening to cause violence. He's protecting Virginians. You're also protecting them by taking their guns.
Wow, given the contentious nature of the issue, the prospect of such a large event has raised tensions early. Northam declared a state of emergency, and recent arrests have further raised those tensions.
Yeah.
I think I need to call a lawyer before we go flying or driving into Virginia.
So Richmond just 20 hours ago upheld the Executive Order 49. The Circuit Court upheld Governor Ralph Northam's decision outlining Executive Order 49 to temporarily ban firearms on Capitol grounds from 5 p.m. on Friday, January 17th, until 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 21st. We know the event's on Monday, the 20th.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, see, I have a problem with that. You have a right to bear arms, and you have a right to form a regulated militia. And I don't know why the word regulated, who actually gets to regulate it. Now, if you want to go as far as saying the guns aren't allowed in the building, that's fine. But on the grounds? So what is the grounds?
Okay, so we've been covering this. I'll show you. Let me see if I can figure out. Did you see this one?
Yeah, that was cool.
It reminds me of Nancy been drinking. We make a Nancy drink again. Keep Nancy drinking again. Drunk Nance hashtag.
So if say there's 100,000 of us that are there now, I don't know how that works with you and I, since we're not Virginian natives or citizens. But my understanding is the law says that you can gather.
Right to peacefully gather and
So I'm not real certain what would actually happen if, say, 50,000 people. Now, I'm not saying pull your guns and keep your hand on the trigger, but if you had them shouldered or holstered, and
supposed to be an open carry event. This is they got the laws on there. 100,000 people are supposed to come armed. That's what this is all about.
Uh-huh.
He's trying to. Once the ban thing went in, and then you hear about this rally coming, and people are going to come armed. All the state's militias are coming to provide security.
Correct.
And then he's like, I got to get it to where they can just dupe their whole little rally. They're coming armed to show a stance against these bills.
And that's where the sheriffs are saying, we're not going to uphold that. So now you might have state police that might try to arrest you, or are there court officers going to be? I mean, I do know that, like, the prosecuting attorney's office has court officers. Most county courthouses are secured by the county sheriff's department. So if you have all these sheriffs saying, we're not going to uphold these laws, and really, is there a reason to go out, and why would you start poking at a crowd of 50,000 people with guns if they said they're just coming here to, it's a rally? What are you going to do? You don't have enough law enforcement. Now, I'm not going to go, I have to be real careful what I say, because I don't want it to come out threatening by any means, because where could stem from that. But if you have 50 to 100,000 people that are there to rally and essentially say we are now a sanctuary state for the Second Amendment, it's the same rhetoric that the liberals used for illegals. So now all of a sudden they don't like it. But I don't know where the governor gets on. What's he going to do? Call the National Guard in? I mean, you have these sheriffs. Number one, even if you had a few sheriffs or a few officers that thought that, we're gonna uphold, he is the governor. We're going to uphold his law. How? You're outnumbered by tens of thousands. Now, this is what bothers me, and because I'm getting up there in age, and I have a handful of children now. Little Willow she's my fifth, but I'm smart enough to understand that these are the types of things, adding fuel to the fire. The governor didn't have to do this. He's just throwing his weight around and making a point. So now and this is where I was going with this last night, and I'm glad that we brought this up. So they got mad at Trump for flexing his muscle, right? Oh yeah, we had to drop the bomb, or we have to do something against Iran. We killed the general that's actually a terrorist, and he shouldn't do that. All he's doing is provoking Iran. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Governor. You didn't have to issue this temporary ban or this temporary law, this executive order.
Yeah.
All you're doing is poking the bear. So the rhetoric that they're using, Monday through Friday, they're using that against the Republicans and Trump. And then, now this time that kind of rhetoric fits his agenda. Safety is my biggest concern. I'm not going to run from it. I'm still going down there. This is history. I think this is the part of history I want to be on the side of.
I got a blank show for them for like the last 5 minutes. Unbelievable. All right, my bad. I don't know why it's blank. Well, not now. You're back on, but.
So yeah, you have. I only knew about the one from Bozeman. Blah blah blah. Is Antifa marching with the conservatives to cause a problem?
Hold on. I wanted to show that there. Why is that not? Okay.
I caught a little bit of scuttlebutt from this.
There's Scott. Look at that.
Yeah.
Hold on. So this is the grounds, right? This is all the Capitol area down there where I guess Virginia stage Capitol or state Capitol right here, Capitol Square. So this is 9th Street. Coming in with my mouse over here.
Is that all state property?
No, guns are allowed on 9th Street, right? See this 9th Street sign right here? And it looks like it comes right on up. I'm sure there's a road and a sidewalk on both sides of the street. And I'm assuming on this blue line side there's a sidewalk, but the minute you step into the grass, I think it's all fenced off if I'm correct. It would be all fenced anyway. So now look, this tells you here for the event, my camera's in the way for me, but see the green or the entrance is right here.
Correct.
There's only one entrance into this caged-in grounds, and then there's 3 exits out.
That's unsafe.
So now they're talking about getting in. They got 17 magnometers, X-rays machines to speed it up so everyone can get in. But if you want to get here, this kicks off at 8 a.m. in here. This is a caged-in area. This is where the stage is. This is where the speakers are going to be. That one speaker from the Dallas that saved the church.
They're caging us in.
Yeah, there you go. Now, we don't have to be on the inside. You can be on the outside over here.
I think I'm staying on the outside because I'm still that type of person that thinks,
well, I figured,
what if?
Yeah, no, we need to send Woodman and Jaws in with the cameras.
There you go.
And then we got the perimeter check.
Yeah.
And, we'll get it worked out. The show must go on. So.
Right.
Joking, folks. We're joking.
So, no, it really just annoyed me when he passed this emergency legislation. It's like, wait a minute, man, you have the right to gather. You even have a right to a militia. You even have a right to carry a firearm. Now, I know they try to tell you, well, you got to have a license for concealed, and then some states you can't carry one at all. Baloney. It says in the Constitution you have that right. So,
yeah, this says, look right here. This guy wrote a cage for a protest or lobby rally. This ain't how it works here. So Virginia Capitol protest or rally against gun control, caged in protest area, single entrance, state of emergency declared ahead of time with gun ban, VSP ready to violate your rights. This is what we call the Charlottesville playbook.
Now, wait a minute. Virginia, VSP, Virginia State Police. I cannot imagine that they're on the governor's side. I know theoretically they're supposed to uphold the governor's rulings and laws and title and position and all that, but man, I just don't know what the hell are they. There ain't that many state police. Now, listen, I'm all for the cops, man, but I agree with this guy.
So here's this
I don't
one.
like the idea of a caged in area for those that want to demonstrate.
Governor Northam declares state of emergency. We know that. Antifa group to march alongside some of the protesters here in Virginia. A diverse gathering of pro-gun protesters declared upon Virginia's Capitol on Monday are now to include an unlikely ally, a local Antifa group, because they want to keep guns too. Weird. All right, so then we got there's going to be a military exercise from the 16th to the 24th right off the coast here. That little beacon dot, and it's going to shut out GPS for all of these areas that we're seeing all up along the East Coast sector into the Midwest, into Tennessee, some of Kentucky, mostly of Virginia right here. I don't know if that hits. Is that going to hit Richmond? I don't know. But you see it here. GPS reception may be unavailable or unreliable over a large portion. So bring your old school maps. Now, then also in nearby cities, they were doing the old 11420 they posted for role-playing project for terrorists and IED victims and hostage and rescue team. Put out the old ad.
The heat training. No different than when they tell you a hurricane's coming, hurry up and go to your local stores and buy all the gas and canned goods and water and blah, blah, blah.
Well, sometimes in these other areas where things have gone down, like in Charlottesville, the same ads have ran, and then those people are on set they're telling them, like, do this when something really happens. And by the time it's all done, those people are confused, but they were there to act a certain way so they can get the good footage maybe from the crowd. I don't know.
It's a narrative.
It's wild.
It's a ploy.
Now you're going to see other things happen over here. Don't worry about that. That's part of why you guys are reacting this way over here. Oh, okay. And then we're like, okay, there's our cue. The gunshot, they said. I don't know how it goes down. I've never been a crisis actor.
Well, this is another real cool reason and thing. It's good that we are going because, unfortunately, you guys are going to have to take our word for it. If we see things that we don't actually capture on camera, that's one thing. But we're going to have footage. So, I'm tired of listening to all news medias. I want to go and see for myself. I want to talk to the locals. In all my travels in my life, and I have put some serious miles on, I tend to be a little more educated than the average person in my area because on affairs around the country and parts of the world, because I've actually been to those areas, and you know me, I love history and I love government and I love politics. So those are the types of conversations I find myself in, and I tend to go along with how the locals. It's just like when you're out of town, eat where the locals eat. That at least you know that the food is probably always good. You know what I mean? When in Rome, per se.
No, it's getting wild, folks. Unbelievable. All right, well, let's open up the phone lines.
Oh man, you got people that want to chat?
Maybe.
This is my first time. Mike's got the new equipment in the room. I call it an old school phone, but it's got the technology that we need to link up here.
Try to keep them short and sweet so we can get through a few calls here.
It is Friday with my open mic type style.
Yeah, that's up to you. Caller's preference.
Silver Wolf says, I have a CB in my truck. Well, you might need that this weekend.
Yeah.
I think more people need to get back into CBs. You know what I mean?
Here we go.
This is a first.
This is a Patriot Hour. You got Mike and Scott on the line. How's it going?
Hi, Mike. This is Wandering America. I first off would like to thank you for your service.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
It is appreciated. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and my daughter was a peacetime vet.
Thank you.
I didn't know if y'all are aware. I don't know if this might possibly have an impact on the rally. Chinese immigrants have been found coming in on the Florida coast, being smuggled in yachts.
Did you just say Chinese immigrants on yachts on the Florida coast?
I did. You can Google it, and it brings up an article. I believe it's Miami Herald. They're coming in. I think it was the Palm Coast area. They found them recently. When first contacted on radio, the person on the yacht told them they had 10 Japanese tourists coming in from the Bahamas, but they actually found, I think it was 12 Chinese illegals coming in.
Okay.
So this is just a one boat, 12 people, or what's your take on? What's your personal opinion or take on this?
Well, it's not the first time that they have been caught coming in on yachts, smuggled in on yachts. There was another article before that. I think it was from last year about others being smuggled in from the Bahamas. And these are just the ones they've caught.
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, that's what you can, this is one they caught. So how many other boats per day for years have they not, or however long this has been going on? Good information. We appreciate it. And I'm going to look into it. Thank you. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
God bless y'all.
All right, thank
Take
you.
care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, something to keep. That's
On yachts.
a great little.
I guess I wanted to ask her. Maybe she can message back in. Are those kids age, adult age? I mean, what's age? Is this sex trafficking, or is this just adult male military age?
This is a Patriot Hour. You got Mike and Scott. What's going on?
Hey, it's Magnolia again today.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good.
I guess what I want to say is, would it be beneficial for people who are going to the rally to wear, like people who are service members to wear their uniforms, people who are not service members to wear, AOC, not AOC like Ocasio-Cortez, but the American, I don't know why I'm spacing, but so would it be...
Is attire appropriate, is what you're getting to?
Yeah, would it be appropriate to have a uniform?
My opinion is don't look too military.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that could come off of, and I'm not saying the word offensive like you're offending somebody, but in my opinion, I would not want to look like I'm pro-military, geared up, ready for trouble. I guess light military apparel would make you stand out, and they know that you. Number two, I don't know that you want people knowing that you're ex-military.
It just depends.
Your fellow man, you're the ones we're rallying with. I mean, there's just like devil's advocate, pros and cons here. Your fellow rallier, I would walk right up and shake your hand, and begin a conversation. But if we have enemies there, you certainly don't want them knowing that you stand. It's kind of like in battle, don't salute.
Yeah,
right?
The officers aren't supposed to salute that way. Because the snipers from the other enemy will always want to take out those in control. And then you can create chaos between the.
Yeah, don't make a target for yourself. Blend in. I mean, that's my opinion. You don't want to come off like you're still military or that you are ex-military.
Well, and it's like we know that the FBI, some of the groups, the police themselves will be there in uniform, and then there will be some unarmed or ununiformed walking the crowds, blending in.
And I think that's what everybody else should be doing, is blending in. You don't want to, in big crowds like this, I don't think you want to be the one standing
what about
out.
like Antifa and Black Lives Matter?
Well, that's where they're going to make a mistake. We all know who Antifa is. Why? Because they always dress according to their dress code, things over their face, looking like idiots. They just woke up, didn't shower.
Kind of your typical terrorist outfit.
I'm going to look different than Antifa, I can promise you that. They're coming in there, whatever their dress code is, but I don't know. I mean, I bet there's opinions all over the place, but blending in is probably the most important thing. Standing out is the last thing you want to do.
But were you thinking just to have like the military that's proud, like if he's active duty to wear his uniform, or like the veteran? Because typically veterans don't dress up. I mean, you're retired. You might have kept, like I kept a uniform.
Cap.
But typically veterans are going to wear like a hat that says, Vietnam vet or something. And you'll know them. Yeah.
Right. Or something that signifies that you were like, or your family is military, or that you're pro-gun. Because I feel like I heard this because I watch it all the time, but I heard this thing that Antifa was actually going to dress out. So they weren't going to dress in their normal apparel, but they were going to try to blend in themselves.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, see, I mean, well, this whole thing, I could put it this way, is a rally or a lobby for pro-gun Second Amendment people, and it's driven, what they're trying to do there is so crazy that it's driven people like Scott, myself, and others, many others, to come from several states away to help or show their support for the state of Virginia for this cause. Anything else there that day, if you're protesting because you think the Second Amendment should be gone, you guys have already gotten that kind of stacked up with what's going on with the people in power. But they have the right to show up too, and I guess protest the fact that people are there rallying in cause of, and they can be there to protest against that. That's their right as well, but it needs to be peaceful, because that's what I'm going there for, peaceful.
Well, here's what I'm afraid of, and and I'm not trying to scare anybody into going, and I actually work myself up when I think this way, but when you have a large group of people, it doesn't take very much orchestration from somebody that wants to make this a big event or a big scene. Now, if it's a perfect stage for somebody to set it up like the Vegas shooting or something. It's a perfect stage for something seriously bad to happen, and then that be perfect ammunition to why we need to take guns away. So I'm encouraging people to blend in. Don't try to stand. Don't make this about yourself.
Yeah, no.
Right? This is about a cause, and try to stay calm, vigilant, keep your head on a swivel. But this is not a war. This isn't like gangs in New York where we're going to meet at the corner and we're all going to beat each other up. So big crowds have always made me nervous because of this reason. If there's anybody on the left or anybody radical, even on the right, I mean, if this is you got to be careful not to be the spark in a bunch of dry kindling. If that makes, don't let this.
Yeah. Don't
let this be what some want it to be. Ammunition.
So stand your ground and be ready to videotape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, you got
Although I don't think we're going to have enough signal. I think it's going to get... Mike and I went to some rallies. The one Trump rally, we were actually just talking about that. I don't believe there's going to be powerful enough signal to support Richmond, let alone 50, 60, 80, 100,000 people coming in, Wi-Fi, GPS signal. I mean, it's gonna crash.
That's what we're going to be
watched
doing.
It firsthand.
We're going to do live shows on the way down as much as we can. Whenever we feel like it, we'll go live. If that works out, driving at 70 mile an hour, we'll see how much we can pull off that way. When we get to the hotel room, we'll do some updates. We got some stuff going on Sunday evening, a meeting we got to be at. Once that's over, get a dinner or whatnot, we'll probably come back to check in, do a quick update with you guys. We'll let you guys know as much as we can when we get it, as we get it. If it doesn't work, because of course we're going to try to go live. If it doesn't work, we're going to just go to record mode. I mean, on that GoPro, if I got the battery pack's fully charged, and with the 256 card, we can get 10 hours of recording and really only 9 hours of battery. I do have a battery pack thing to plug into that could keep it going even longer, but we can literally leave there with 10 hours worth of footage. If I pass the camera off to Scott, you get a couple hours, I got a couple hours, Woodman gets a couple hours, boom, we got 6 hours there. That's enough to go through, make a few videos out. Of course, it'd be a day or two after, but again, at least we're getting the footage. We're going to try to go live at the event. We'll see how it works. We'll try a couple times, but we'll see how it works. All right, we're going to...
Answering my question, I appreciate it. I don't want to take up the phone. Thank you guys again. I love watching you guys, and I appreciate everything that you guys do.
We thank you as well. God bless you.
God bless. Have a great day.
God bless you. Bye.
All right, that was a great call. She's Magnolia.
That's a good question. I mean, good for her for answering, asking that question. That's a lot of people don't think about crowd control and being vigilant.
All right, here we go. Patriot Hour, you're on.
Hey, this Woodman, I just want to tell everybody, how you doing, Scott?
Hey, Woodman, what's up, brother?
The number threw me off. I was like, holy crap.
I know this guy.
My neighbor's calling. No, what is up, brother?
Just watching you guys. I'm taking a break from that welding job, so...
oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I had to call on because, it's good to see Scott. I haven't talked to him for a long time, even though we're going to be together this weekend.
We're bunkies, buddy. We're going to be bunkies.
That's right. That's right.
All right, man. I'm going to let you guys go.
Hey, Woodman, hold on a minute, brother. Hold on. I want to ask you the same question that last caller just asked us. Dressing in military apparel and whatnot. Mike and I think in loud crowds like this, it's probably better to blend in and not stand out. How will you anticipate dressing for this event?
Well, I sure wouldn't do it in any kind of military attire. It tends to put the stigma out that you're kind of aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's not a protest. This is a rally. This is has nothing to do with any kind of violent stuff, even though it's going to happen probably with Antifa and stuff. But this is just a rally.
Correct.
It's not a protest. You're not going to go in there carrying, whatever. This is about protecting the constitutional rights of people in the state of Virginia.
Correct.
So don't get sucked into some kind of a fight, one way or another, even though it might start off being a verbal thing, and then all of a sudden could escalate. Don't get sucked into that stuff,
Exactly.
Smile and carry on. You know what I mean?
That's right. Kill them with kindness.
You know it, brother. You know it. Okay, I'm gonna let you go because you got people that need to call in.
Roger that. See you in 24 hours, bud.
All right, brother. We'll see you soon. All right. There you go. Spoken from a wise old man.
I love
Not
that
sugar.
guy. I love him.
All right, we're going to get to another call here because they are calling. They were beeping in the whole time. And we got Scott Hansen. Scott Hansen, what's up? This is a Patriot Hour. You got Scott. You got Mike on the line. What's going on?
Hey, this is Marilyn Hansen. I tried to call you yesterday, but...
Hey, Marilyn.
Did she say Marilyn Manson?
Marilyn Manson. No, Hansen with an H.
Yep.
All right, what's going
Only
on?
with an H. I have some information when you guys were talking about when the mass arrests are going to be. I actually have information to give you for that.
Uh-oh.
Okay, what do you got?
Have you ever heard of the DUMS?
Yes.
Okay. There is a gentleman, his name is Gene Consunce. He is an informant, and he's intelligence. And he had done a show on Blessed to Teach where they actually talk about all these DUMS. Now, a lot of that we are having all these earthquakes around, they're not earthquakes. They are taking out these DUMS.
Yeah,
And
the
they're
deep
all over
Deep
the world.
underground military
Yeah,
bases.
that was happening out in
Yes,
California
deep
with
underground military bases.
Yep. Out in Cali, they were supposedly doing that during the wildfires too. That's what was really happening. There was a
That's
lot of
right.
underground battling.
You're talking China Lake. Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are actually being taken out. Now, the recent earthquake that was in Iran, that was a DUMS that they took out.
Okay.
What about Puerto Rico? Was there just another earthquake down there?
Correct.
There was. That wasn't my brain playing games on me. I actually...
No.
Now, what do they? Did he talk about how much explosives they're using to do this, and is that why we're feeling the?
Actually, they actually show pictures and a lot of information that was mind-blowing. And it's Blessed to Teach, the Underground War, and it says happening now. And on the one of part 2 actually shows photographs, so you can actually see what they're doing.
Oh,
But
wow.
the reason why they're not doing the mass arrest quite yet is because they have to take these DUMS out so that they don't take and hide in these DUMS, because the walls, they show these doors and how thick they are. Be like absolutely shocked.
Oh, wow.
Some DUMS are even down 800 feet.
So they want to take
that's
away
why
their
they're
places to
doing
run
this,
and
so that
hide.
they cannot-
So they had no
Pardon
place.
me?
So they had no place to run and hide.
Correct.
All right.
Correct. There will be arrests, but as far as the big ones, they have to get these DUMS out because they're also using them, for child trafficking. Also, that's what they're mainly used for now. And in one of his interviews, he'll talk about somebody from Upper Peninsula. That's me, because I live in the Upper Peninsula. I mean, we're very rural here. I don't know if anybody's ever been up here, but we're very rural. And I live in the old K.I. Sawyer base, and within a block of me, there was 3 attempts of child abduction from their front yard with the parents there.
Wow.
And I had to ask them, all of a sudden we have this rise of child abductions or attempt abductions, and he informed me there was actually a DUMS under Lake Superior that goes to Canada. So they actually got that one cleared. But he gives a list of where all these DUMS are, and if you coordinate those DUMS where they're having all these earthquakes, you match.
It starts giving you some coincidences, huh? So did they bring up Phil Schneider at all?
I was just going to say, one of our... yeah, go ahead, sorry.
You ever heard of Phil Schneider?
No.
Ooh, look him
Check.
up.
I was going to leave. We'll leave this phone call at that. We truly, 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 truly appreciate your information. I'm going to check that out. I just got a whole list of things scribbled down here while you were talking. So I got...
Well, Gene, when you take and listen to Blessed to Teach, Gene gives his email address because he won't go on any, he doesn't have a Twitter account or Facebook or anything like that. He won't do that.
What
But
did you
he
say
does
his
give
background was, ma'am?
information.
Marilyn?
He does give his email. He does give his email, and he will email you because he's been emailing me back and forth. He emails anybody who has questions about anything. And this man he's a boatload of information.
What was his background, Marilyn, did you say?
He was actually in the Navy,
Okay, Navy.
and he had high security clearance. He gives all that information too, of what his background is, and
Now, did you say
basically
he
how
went?
long he's been red-pilled.
He went to Blessed to Teach show? Did he come on there, or did he just give him a bunch of information for him to put out a show?
He called. He
Called
talked
in.
to-
Okay. I was wondering when you said he went on. I was like, he doesn't want to do any of the social stuff, but he'll call. Okay, so
Well, there's a reason. He explains the reason why.
no, I get it. I just, when you threw me through a loop, I'm thinking that he was on as a guest and he's pictured the whole time. Then I started thinking that he just had him blanked out, but then I'm thinking, okay, no, he
Had
just
him blanked out,
calls
and
in.
He calls.
Yes.
And like I said, he's willing to go to anybody's platform like yours. If you ask to do an interview, I'm sure he would do it. Just another one to listen to that he has done interviews with, the information he will tell you will blow your mind. And her name is Kirsten, Kirsten W. She also has a YouTube channel, and I was like, how can this even be possible? But the information he has documentation for it. So,
I'm interested.
Say that one again, her name?
Kristen W.
Kirsten, Kirsten, big W, capitalized W.
Okay.
That is her YouTube. And she labels hers where she says, where they have an interview with Gene. Gene is Gene.
Yeah, I got that one right.
Okay.
Gene. Okay, we appreciate it. Thank you for calling in. Call in any time. And
No problem. I just want to pass this on so that people don't lose hope. There is, as we all say, God wins.
Always.
right. That's
Always.
right. You hit the
When
nail
we
on
talk
the head.
about watching a movie, we are, because he talks about Operation Spyglass big time in his decodes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I know you did a show on that.
Yes,
so.
I did. Okay, we
Yes, you
appreciate
did.
it.
This is why I'm sharing this with you, so you can basically continue what you started already.
Marilyn,
you.
have a blessed weekend, dear.
Thank you so
you
much.
Too. You guys take care, and prayers for you will be said when you go to Virginia, because they're also taking and trying to implement that here in Michigan.
That's right. We got to fight. We got to stand up for our rights. God bless you and have a great Friday.
Wow.
All right. That was a good one. We're going to take one more call when it comes in. It'll be the last call. I'll let Scott answer it once it comes. But
I love the dumb conversations.
that was a good one.
Freaky, scary.
Real.
Well, some of our mentors, guys, well, not necessarily mentors, guys that we listen to and walk.
Coming up, yep.
They spoke about it back then when they were building the damn things.
Yeah,
Crazy.
That's. I mean, most of all the information we have, folks, are from dissenters, people that were part of something they knew nothing of, and then they broke away. 3, 2.
Good afternoon, Patriot Hour. Scott and Mike.
Hi, Mike. It's American again.
Is it Kim?
Yeah, I had been watching. He said he wanted to ask me another question.
Yes. Oh, there you go.
Question, Kim, was the age group on the yachts? Do you know, or did they say were those children ages or military
No.
male age?
It was adults.
Adults.
Let me. I have the article pulled up in front of me.
Mostly men.
Yeah, men. They're trying to say that they are coming in to benefit the hotel, tourism, and trade industries in the Bahamas. Well, if that were true, they wouldn't be trying to get into the U.S. now, would it?
Oh, yeah. True.
Sneaky
It
little
says
buggers.
that they were stopped on December 2nd, commandeering a 63-foot Sunseeker yacht with 14 Chinese passengers and 1 Bahamian.
Wow.
Well, good. If you see any more boats,
Among them was a Chinese national, Ying Lian Li, who was deported last April but was trying to re-enter the country.
Right.
well, thank you for calling back. I'm glad that it wasn't child age, because there's a lot of that's going on.
Well, one of the men arrested said that it must have been a misunderstanding, and made the statement that he worked with the Underground Railroad and anti-human trafficking, and he would never do anything wrong.
Sounds like that individual said too much.
Said too much.
Definitely.
Spoke his guilt.
But this is an article from the Miami Herald,
Okay.
All right.
I'm
and
familiar
it's
with
dated
it.
for yesterday.
December 2nd is when the incident happened, and then this is in the Miami Herald on
the 16th.
January 16th of this year. Is that
Correct.
Okay,
More-
good.
We appreciate it. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for calling back and paying attention. And you are definitely on top of things today and hopefully every day.
Well, I was hoping to attend the rally, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. I haven't been able to get up enough funds.
Well-
I do have a YouTube channel, Wandering American.
You guys hear that? Wondering America, get over there. Maybe you can make it happen. We can do something for that. So I'll give you a shout out here. I got other videos coming out later today and tomorrow promoting and letting everyone know to make sure they know we're taking off. But we'll say prayers for you. You got prayers for us. And God bless.
Definitely.
Have a great
I
Friday.
appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
And that concludes.
That concludes phone hour, huh?
Woo! Party line.
That's
real-
great. I love that new doodad. That's awesome.
That's good. Some of the names come up. If I don't know how that works. Some are, I'm sure, blocked by you guys or name wise. But real quick, again, I want to hit on the head. Patriots Fest 2020 coming up in August, months before the election. We've probably got 60, 70 people emailed so far saying that they're coming. And when I get into those emails, it's like me, my wife, 2 kids. So it looks like out of the 60, 70 emails, plus 3s, plus 4s, it could be hundreds of people coming. So make sure you're emailed Patriot Fest.
I don't know
2020.
who that was that just said that, but that's absolute. That individual
What'd
must
it
have.
say?
When in big crowds or when you're in these types of events, when you hear somebody say "look left," make sure
Go
you look
look right.
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
right.
the obvious little things. It's almost like when somebody in softball or whatever, when we're playing, and somebody's like, "Look out!" or "Look up." You don't
Yeah.
look up when something's falling at you. Usually, what I say is "headache," so you cover your head. So understand. I know it can get emotional and last second. You're improvising when tragedy strikes. I mean, unfortunately
Everyone
or
reacts
fortunately,
differently.
I've been in enough situations in my life. A little bit of nervousness doesn't bother me too much. But
No,
the
Mike-
last thing I'm
Mike
going to say is,
Pricey.
"Hey, Mike, look that way." No.
Yeah, we call that crisis mode. Some people fall apart during that time. It just depends on if you've been in situations or not like that. So crisis mode. Everyone's crisis mode is different. Some
We're
people.
going to take a garage talk break here for just a second, or what do you want to do?
We can shut this down. What time is it? 1? Well,
I don't know. You tell me.
You guys want to wait and stand by? We'll come back. Let's take a little quick.
Just
I'm going to
quick.
put something on. It'll be like a 10-minute video, but we'll probably be back in 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Just give us a few, those of you, and we'll come back and talk a little more. Give me a second here. Let me find something that won't get us copyrighted.
Anymore, we're going to have to hire a full-time lawyer and have him just sit here holding up green flags, red flag,
Yeah.
It's the world we live in.
Back up. User media. I want output. We'll go funeral. You decide. Everyone who. How about her? This is a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure Mike gets this copy of it. As she was talking about the dumbs, I started looking it up, and there seems to be a couple of really good ones.
That's all real stuff. Here you go, guys. Hold on.
We'll be right back.
How do you think about China? We've seen President Trump call President Xi both an enemy and a friend.
Well, the president clearly has no strategy. You know, when I first got into this race, I remember President Trump scoffed and said he'd like to see me making a deal with Xi Jinping. I'd like to see him making a deal with Xi Jinping. Is it just me, or was that supposed to happen in, like, April? It's one more example of a commitment not made. When that happens on the international stage, people take note. Not just our competitors, our adversaries, but also our allies take note of the inability of the United States to keep its word or follow through on its plans.
What he has done here, he has assessed these tariffs on our allies. He has put us in the middle of this trade war, and he is treating our farmers and our workers like poker chips in one of his bankrupt casinos. And if we are not careful, he is going to bankrupt this country.
I agree with those who have said that this erratic, haphazard trade war is hurting American families. As Senator Klobuchar said, 300,000 American jobs. It's estimated that it's cost $600 to the average American family. Just a couple of days ago, 60% of Americans said that they believe that we're in for a recession next year. So when I become president, I would immediately begin to negotiate with China to ratchet down that trade war.
Donald Trump in office on trade policy, you know, he reminds me of that guy in The Wizard of Oz, you know, when you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude.
Trump obviously hasn't a clue. Trump thinks that trade policy is a tweet at 3 o'clock in the morning. What we have got to do is develop a trade policy that represents workers, represents the farmers in the Midwest and elsewhere who are losing billions right now because of Trump's policy.
Donald Trump's America First policy is actually an America isolated, an America alone policy.
Exactly right.
From trade to battling China to the global crisis of climate change, the challenges in the Middle East, he is pulling us away from our allies, out of the Iran deal, out of the Paris Climate Accords. And on trade, he's deciding to take on China while at the same time taking on tariff battles with all of our allies. You literally have him using a national security waiver to put tariffs on Canada. Now look, I'm the only person on the stage that finds Trudeau's hair very menacing, but they are not a national security threat. We cannot go up against China alone. This is a president that has a better relationship with dictators like Duterte and Putin than he does with Merkel and Macron. We are the strongest nation on the planet Earth, and our strength is multiplied and magnified when we stand with our allies in common cause and common purpose. That's how we beat China. That's how we beat climate change on the planet Earth, and that's how American values are the ones that lead on issues of trade and workers' rights.
Let's turn to the economy. You just heard my interview with the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro. President Trump says taking his tariffs off China now would be, quote, economic surrender, saying the U.S. cannot make a trade deal without dialing up more pressure. You have vowed to lift those tariffs if you become president. What makes you think China would make a trade deal with you as president without the kind of pressure that President Trump is now exerting with these tariffs?
Well, we have a lot of different forms of leverage in the relationship, but it's also a fool's errand to think you're going to be able to get China to change the fundamentals of their economic model by poking them in the eye with some tariffs.
And this issue, which could spell economic disaster for America eventually, meaning a recession, is all Donald Trump's fault. No one else has any responsibility for the creation of the potential disaster that could be coming our way, thanks entirely to the Trump tariffs and the Trump trade war, which has so far been ignored by most of the candidates and questioners in the Democratic presidential debates. Donald Trump is the only president in history who has told the American people that war is easy. He wasn't talking about a shooting war, of course. He was talking about a trade war. But trade wars are called wars for a reason. They are not called trade games. And no American president prior to Donald Trump has said trade wars are good and easy to win. Trade wars have casualties. People lose jobs and lose income in every country involved in a trade war. And Donald Trump should know that by now, but this week he dropped more bombs in his trade war by increasing the tariffs that Americans must now pay for Chinese goods to the point where J.P. Morgan now estimates that the tariffs will cost the average American household $1,000 a year. For most people, coming up with an extra $1,000 a year to pay in taxes, which is what tariffs actually are, is not easy. And the Democratic nominee for president will surely be running hard against the Trump tariffs, but so far the Democratic candidates are staying relatively quiet about the Trump tariffs and giving Donald Trump a very long leash in which he appears to be getting himself all tangled up politically. Are you at all surprised with what the Trump tariffs have delivered?
No, of course not. Look, we had the conversation back 2 years ago when President Trump first started saying he was going to launch this trade war. And I told you, these tariffs, if he does them, they're going to put the in dumb. There's nothing. This is the biggest tax increase on the middle class, I believe, ever in U.S. history. We're going to charge middle class Americans $1,000 each to entertain this fantasy that we're achieving something. We're not. You don't get the Chinese to change their behavior by publicly humiliating them and trying to bully them. That doesn't work. We got them, for example, to stop devaluing their currency. And the way we did that is we got all our allies on the same page, and then we went with specific strategic demands. We said, look, you need to change your currency devaluation behavior in this way, and if you don't, we will react in the following way. And that got them to change their behavior. Donald Trump has not made any specific demands. He thinks that this is working. He thinks this is actually good. And as you pointed out, manufacturing starting to contract. The University of Michigan consumer confidence numbers came out. I believe it was the biggest drop in consumer confidence in 6 years.
Bad boys. They're all wrong. They're all wrong.
More hate speech.
Ignorant liberals who are 100% wrong about Trump's trade policy with China are now eating crow.
I've said it before, I think, on the show, maybe not, but my in-laws they're from a big farming community, and I spend a lot of time over there, play cards with some of the guys, hang out with them. Even, my father-in-law's a farmer, but they love the guy. They understand that somebody in the last 30 or 40 years needed to stand up to the Chinese, and, was it pleasant? No, it wasn't pleasant, but anything worth doing is going to have some pain involved with it. If everything was easy, it would have been done already, but we've been bending over and getting screwed, actually by ourselves, if you think about it. We've allowed it to happen, and we buy Chinese goods. You really want to help the president. You want to help the country, and if you want to hate on Trump, that's fine. Quit buying Chinese crap. Start buying American-made. Well, it's not that easy. Well, no, it isn't. But decide what is a need and what is a want, and you can actually help your country and protest the president at the same time. You can barter with the Chinese if you think Trump's doing a bad job. Do it by yourself and quit buying Chinese. I would applaud you. I would even support you. I would agree with you. But to sit there and just continue to bash a guy just because CNN and the Michigan University Institute of blah. Do you know Michigan is losing congressional seat? There's a few states that are going to lose congressional seats when the census comes out. One's going to be California, and one is going to be Michigan. They're leaving by the hundreds and by the thousands. Got friends in the Montana area that are building, and they said they were actually shocked when they moved in there to buy a piece of property. One of the local contractors that was going to come do some excavating for them said, "You guys from California?" He goes, "Why would you ask that?" Well, there's a lot of people coming from California with money, and they're buying, hundreds and hundreds of acres at a time and building big homes, and they're leaving. They still want the beauty that Northern California has, but they want the conservative rights. But it's like, and some of the Montanians, I guess is what you call them, big sky people, and from my understanding, are getting a little nervous. Like, hey, it's okay if you come here, but don't be bringing your California politics here. So pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Do not care what the University of Michigan has to say about our economy, because I'm pretty sure their economy is crap. So I can get a pretty good view of what's the saying? I can get a pretty good view of a steak by shoving my head on a bull's rear
Or
end.
you're just watching.
But I'd rather take a butcher's word for it.
You get a pretty good view of the steak by putting your heads up the bull's ass.
Yeah.
You could take that butcher's word for it. Yeah. That's awesome.
But liberals,
that's right.
liberals take
That's
the
right.
shitty route, if you know, no pun intended.
No, they want their heads up the cow's ass. They don't even want the cows around anymore.
I'm still watching all these Facebook, what do you call them, the compilations, for 8 months to a year before when he was running, the one late night guy. Donald Trump's he declared himself a king. Do it.
Kenny Jimble.
Do it. Like, so
Jimmy
we can
Kimmel.
make fun
I
of
said
you.
Kenny Jimble.
Yeah. And they're all wrong. They're all telling everybody he's going to lose. Well, right now, the most electable candidate in the Republican Party, the one blonde lady on HBO said, right now, Donald Trump. And they all looked at her like crazy, and then 24 hours later, they're all just crying in the streets. That's great. I actually told a guy the other day that I was debating with, and he made some good points where Trump goes off the crazy train a little bit, rambles too much. I'm guilty of doing the same thing. He says, why do you really like this guy? And I said, because he speaks to us. We feel like we actually have a voice. He doesn't speak like a lawyer. We're tired of lawyerisms. We're tired of professional politicians. And he's not afraid to take everybody on. And if that many people, the entire left, majority of the left, hate him, right? The party of tolerance is now using words like hate, and name calling and drawing pictures of him hanging and threatening him like pizza face comedian, I have a real problem with Aunt Becky from Full House getting thrown in jail for trying to get her kids an education, but Pizza Face Lopez can openly say, well, we'll do it. We'll do it for half that. We'll assassinate the president.
Yeah.
And he's not going to jail. Now, I'm sure Aunt Becky committed a crime, but isn't threatening the president of the United States. I mean, I think the majority of the country want to see some people's heads roll.
Was that me and you that did that? I had talked about that because same thing. It was like, okay, I think we've gotten little bombshells everywhere, like the college thing. We've gotten the pedophiles out of the church, a couple of them, some of them out of D.C., and then Hollywood, right? Exposure. Little nuggets. The college thing showed a couple of actors, Becky, the other one, Felicity Huffman from whatever show. But the bigger one that Tucker Carlson brought up was like Chris Cumio on CNN. He went to Yale, and who was his dad? And we kind of went into his dad was a governor. His brother's a governor now of New York, the other Cuomo, but the dad was a governor in the 70s and 80s or whatever. That the bigger picture there on that college scam is it's where like the Bush's kids went, Clinton, their daughter went. They all get into these places. They're not geniuses. It's because of who they are. But then where do they really end up? Like we know the kids of the politicians.
Biden Jr.?
Yeah, see, they went to these colleges and then they get put in I'll put you over here in the Ukraine. Pelosi's kids, John Kerry's kids, the Bush's kids, Clinton's kids. They get to put in positions around the world just because their resume is Harvard and then who their parents are. And they're like, we're going to put you into like a pretty actual spot in corporation around the country that dictates almost how the culture works. So it's actually pretty scary.
Rules of order.
It's more than just, well, Becky paid $500,000 and her no-name daughter got into this college over here. We're not so worried about the actor that we know their influence. That's why it works for them to do it too. They're mocking what's going on over here, even though their kids might not end up on the board of something.
Right.
They'll end up somewhere successful or whatnot. But I'm saying the other thing is more scary.
Yeah.
And so you can't just say sorry.
And I get asked a lot, maybe, well, how's come nobody's going to prison yet? Now, listen, if you slow down and really quit paying attention to all the distractions, there are people that have been arrested. There have been people that...
Plenty. Not big names, but... or gone.
Dead
and gone. That's why I said, like, most people, for Epstein, they wanted to probably see him dead in their own agenda and their own, like, you should be put down and doing this. But they skipped the court proceedings that would have costed you a whole bunch of money in taxpayer dollars, by the way. Not saying that was justice, because I know justice.
I'm pretty sure the ones that wanted to arrest him didn't kill him. They wanted him alive so he could squeal. I'm pretty sure who he was in bed with are the ones that probably killed him. And I'm not so certain that he's dead.
Yeah.
Law and Order just did one the other night, my wife and I. It was a 2-part series. And I'm noticing that Law and Order, the latest Law and Order one, criminal and sex.
Funny that you're bringing this
anyway,
up.
but it was a duplicate of the Epstein case, basically. And at the very end, they're like, well, just because you see him being wheeled out on a gurney, how do you know that's him? He could be on an island someplace with all of his other billionaire friends doing it over and, still doing it. We don't know. We're too far down on the chain of command. But again, I'm going to go back to, when are we going to see, is the question I'm asked, people's heads being chopped, essentially being thrown in jail or prosecuted for some of these things. It's coming slowly. I'm one of those that say it's not coming fast enough. But stay the course, I guess. Maybe this next 4 years, it's got to be hard for him Trump, to get all these people arrested at once. I mean, it's taken him a couple of years to get the right people out of power and maybe the right people in power to make sure that when you actually do arrest them, the right charges can stick, and then you can sentence them. Because if you tried to do it any time before this, it was going to get thrown out of court, because they're all in bed together. So I still think the ultimate plan and the agenda is to continue chopping this big, giant, massive tree of shit
You
down.
gotta get the truth out to a lot of people first before you do things that they don't understand. It doesn't work real well when you do it. Interesting, you brought up Epstein. You brought up, really quickly, we're going to look at this here. I need you to look at yourself first.
Look at myself.
Hold on.
My unshaven face.
All right, so look at this. John McAfee, you remember him?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So we'll go up here real quick to the top. John McAfee, this is official. Not sure what I'm doing, but something needs to be done. So we know him. I did it earlier today. We're going to go over this for Scott a little bit. But here, John McAfee, this is 3 hours ago today. What do you want to fix in our government? ? Do you know what our government is? If not, how can you possibly fix it? You cannot fix what you do not know. And children, I promise you, you do not know. All right, here he is 7 hours ago. He did the little Polar Bear Club. A lot of people say they should make a movie about his crazy madness of his life. And one came out 3 years ago, and there's another one coming out this summer. Seth Rogen and Michael Keaton to star in a movie about John McAfee that they're playing. The one I want to show Scott and you guys again right... Damn, where did it go?
It's already
his stuff is all like out of order. It's not really... I will slowly reveal the Epstein murder plot. We already found that Nicholas Tagliani killed Epstein and Barbara Sampson was complicit. Next, I'm offering a free dinner to the first person to correctly name the person who removed Tagliani from the Epstein cell, with a smiley face, because he knows. But even without those data files, which are a sick joke, embedded, open, unencrypted, and visible to anyone who passes by on a multiple rarely visited websites, even without, you can easily discover who removed Nicholas from Epstein's cell and how Nicholas got back in. Who moved Nicholas from Epstein's cell prior to the murder? Critical. Hacker hint. From at this point on, every player, with the exception of 2 players, was carrying an active cell phone during the action. Dead meat for a good hacker. Right answer gets free dinner with him. But let's drop these stooges. Let's consider how Nicholas got back into Jeffrey's cell and who organized the apparent cluster F at the jail cell, which destroyed all the evidence. So coagulate on this for a while. You are lazy, my children. Any decent hacker in the world can answer that. Barbara Simpson performed her job so well that not only was no DNA testing done in the cell, no testing whatsoever was done on anything whatsoever. Point set to bitch Barbara. Bitch, oh yes, as soon you will see. How could Barbara Sampson, the medical examiner, determine suicide as a cause of death for the most important inmate in America, with at least estimating the time of death or asking for a photo of the position of the body found? Neither were done. Wake up, America. How do I find shit out? I founded the world's first information security company. If I am unable to break someone's security and get any information that I want, anytime, anywhere, then how could I know how to stop it from others from doing it? Use your heads. So he's telling you, because McAfee is a security suit to stop viruses and all that, you'd have to know every hole within a computer, every vulnerability, and then you'd know how to patch it and fix it. And then when you started providing that on phones, McAfee on phones, and You need to know all the loopholes, otherwise you can't apply the fix. You can't fix a hole in your house if you don't know where the hole is, right? You got to investigate, find it. So we go back up here. He said our new comm rooms is up and running just in time for the upcoming fireworks. Looks like he got a little studio going.
Oh, yeah. Cheers.
Now he's roaming around, Scott, on a boat. Nobody in an undisclosed location. He quit holding phones. A reminder to those after me. This is your third attempt by poisoning FFS in 8 years. Get a clue. My body is already pickled and preserved by alcohol and by more drugs than the Army's 5th Division could carry. Wake up. That's him in the hospital recovering from the third time they tried to poison him to death. Now, I got a theory on this, and I don't. Here's that Tartellini guy they put. That was a cell they put in with little old Epstein. Not that I feel sorry for Epstein, but this guy was a quadruple murderer. Ex-cop right here. Ex-cop. He got charged with 4 murders. He was working for the mob.
That's the guy they put in the cell with? I thought he had his own cell.
Well, see, after the first attempt of suicide, you would think, moving on and back to prison, left his Tartagloni, and to the right, Epstein's cellmate, murderer. If you were in charge, would you pair this man with possible a pedophilic financier? Someone did. To the right is Shirley Skipper Scott, associate warden of the prison.
They put an ex-cop gone mad in with Epstein, who is a child molester. And that guy's built like a brick house.
He's like a moving muscle.
Oh, my gosh.
There was something else here, I thought, but...
And it's weird, the cameras quit working exactly the right time.
Well, it's everything. All of it. So the first one, they... Here's what they got. When they tried pinning it on this Tartellini guy, he got his lawyer. Right now, this is ongoing. Last week, that Tartellini guy, that big muscle dude, got a lawyer, and they went to court, and they told the state or whatever that was coming after him for the murder, we want the videotape proof. All this months have gone by since that actually happened in August. They finally show up to court last week. They play a videotape. It's showing like outside of the jail cells, like the long hallway down. And they're at, the timestamps in the bottom corner show up for the date of Jeffrey's murder and all that. Well, then the time came with the list of like, at 10:35 p.m., guards walk up to see, oh my God, a body. So then that's when they yell or do whatever, hit the buttons, and paramedics show up. So you should start seeing all this stuff happen on the film.
Commotion.
At 10:35 p.m., I'm not sure on the times, folks. Don't horn in on that, but I'm just giving you an example of how it worked. All of a sudden, like the time lapse goes by in the courtroom, and everyone's like, "Well, wait a minute! At 10:35, it said the first guard showed up. That's what and it's like we don't see that on the film." Come to find out, the film that they pulled into the courts to try to subdue it was from another floor in the building and another hallway where no commotion happened. Wow. So when the guards and his lawyer was like, "Well, look, at 10:35 this happened. At 10:36 the paramedics show up. At 10:38 they're in the cell. I mean, it's all timed out. We don't see any of that. And it's 10:42 on the tape." And they're like, "Oh yeah." So then stuff goes by a couple days. They come back and say, "We don't have it. It's gone." That one's missing now. So the first attempt to the second attempt, the cameras weren't working on the first one. The second one, they got the wrong stuff saved since they didn't save the real floor with nothing. It was all organ. Now that's gone because they record over stuff after so many days. I mean, it's just too many errors stacked up in the favor.
The video's probably wherever Hillary's emails are.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
Who had the most to lose? We don't know. But I bet it goes way up the chain of command. Judges, prosecuting attorneys, politicians, CEOs, big business, whatever. That man was evil, and he had a lot of friends.
Well, and his lawyer came out. I did articles. It was like before he was dead and we had him, it was like, he's willing to give names for a lighter sentence. And I'm like, oh my God, we don't want a lighter sentence for him. We don't, and then all of a sudden he dies, and you don't
lie to him. Just tell him, yeah, you'll get only 20 years. Just tell us the truth. And then psych.
Man, yeah, no, I mean,
I gotta imagine there's 100 minimum. I mean, what kind of number are we even thinking? 100, 200, 500,000 people? Even people, maybe princes around the world. How many people benefited from his death?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, We got all these great people around him, using him on his plane, but none of them acted like they knew what he was up to. Like, it was like,
And I guess my rebuttal to my own type, playing devil's advocate, the man was a billionaire, right? He knew what he was doing was wrong and evil. He also knew that he was helping prominent people in the world also be evil. I'm sure he had an ace in the hole. Video, pictures, incriminating evidence, stashed away somewhere. If something ever should happen to me, this stuff will come out. You don't suppose if you had that kind of money and you were that kind of monster and you had those types of friends that you wouldn't have an insurance card? You think they just walked in there and whacked him and hoped that, oh man, when his heart quits beating, his email opens? I mean, I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I said it a couple of months ago on this show. I don't think the man's dead.
Mm-mm.
He has too much information, and when I say too much, he's got the right people on film or something.
Yeah, this John McAfee, I don't know if I went over every single one again, because he didn't do the threads aren't in correct, perfect order, and it's hard to find everything. But there was one I read earlier. It said, he is dead, trust me. He's acting like he's listening in. He said all these people involved in this had cell phones, so therefore he talks about one that he can hack into anyone's cell phone, and if you're in 10 feet of it, he's going to be able to pick up dialogue and voice. I mean, and that's how
scary.
They do it.
What's in that picture right there? Because somebody was just asking earlier.
That's what they said.
That what's rolling into Virginia?
57 minutes ago at the Patriot Hour, somebody hit me up with this. What the hell is this? Police. State police.
Can you zoom in on that? Well, that's crowd control equipment of some sort.
Hold on, save picture. I have to save it to pictures.
It's a robot, man. Look at the cockpit in that thing.
So let me see if I
It's a tank.
Let me see if I can pull this up.
Is that laser? What is that? Speaker.
Pictures.
That's, man.
Is that something
I'm
to
willing
make
to
us
say
all
that's
dizzy?
that big sonic.
Makes us all dizzy.
The hell is that?
Where did that go? Mine right here.
That
pictures.
door opens up and it's a big giant speed. Well, they've played with this and they've got some. I don't even know what the hell the weapon is called, but they use sound to disorient you.
Wait a minute here.
That is some creepy looking stuff. I bet it's not the only one.
All right, so now.
Come on, let us zoom in. Oh boy. Okay, so it's a skid steer, armed cockpit. This
Douche, that's a spot for guns out here.
Two man. So the skid steer drives them around, and there's two officers that are in that cabin.
Or does this get put on the ground? Like set on the ground, like that thing's there to set it.
That looks like part of the apparatus, like the skids. Look, it looks armored. The cockpit looks armored. I've driven skid steers. That's not your prototypical looking skid. Look, even the bearings where the track rides has a steel plate cover like a tank, right? So most skid steers have open wheelbases right there instead of that big black iron looking plate covering it, so you can't.
There's a door on the front right here, like this is a way to get in, right?
Boxcar driven to bomb locations is for protection from an unexpected detonation. Okay, all right. Mobile riot wall is what John's saying. The other guy that just made a comment, it's to protect them from any kind of a blast if there's a bomb. Directed frequency, ADS, advanced denial system.
ADS.
That is a mobile porta potty.
Frequencies, ADS, advanced denial system.
That is a big giant counterweight on the back.
It's a mobile armored porta potty. I'm just joking.
Oh, you can't say the word idiot, killdozer. They don't like that. You can't call them midgets. You have an email address, Michael. Yeah,
yes.
Michael spit it out here to you.
Patriot or Patriot Hour 2018 at Gmail. Patriot Hour 2018. Not the Patriot Hour, though. It's just Patriot Hour 2018 at Gmail. The link is down below for the Gmail. Pretty sure. Let me make sure. Mm-hmm.
Fine, small person. There you go. So, I'm not certain what that is. Obviously, I know it's a skid steer that's ramped up heavily with armor. I don't see gun turrets of any sort. At first, maybe I was thinking it was one of them big giant speaker doodads just to crowd control. I guess those two little ports at top could be where you could stick your arms out and maybe play with a bomb or something, and it's supposed to protect you from a blast. I don't know. I don't know. Sound system. Well, a sound system used as sonic deterrent, I suppose. I don't think the state police invest that kind of money into sound speakers.
It's called a crowd dozer.
Yes, Jonathan, I agree. It's dangerous looking no matter what it is.
Crowd dozer.
Anti-Second Amendment machine.
Gee, anti-Second Amendment.
I mean, that's some serious
machine.
heavy equipment right there. I'll tell you that. You're not going to stop that. 100 men could stand in front of that and go run you right over.
It's crazy.
Maybe I'll get a real good close look of it while I'm down there.
Yeah. Maybe I'll piss on it for the Patriots. I'm just saying, man. What the hell? What the hell?
Next, we're going to start seeing MRATs. You know, as long as it's state police, and again, Virginia State Police, we're not asking for trouble. We're nothing more than media coming down there. But as long as it's state police stuff that I see,
bet it'll burn. Somebody said. No, that's what
I'm
somebody
not
said.
burning up.
I'm going down peacefully.
Yeah. As long as it's not
I don't know what they're doing.
military, as long as it's not National Guard by the governor, if that starts happening, that's probably when, I'm not saying I'm going to hightail it, but I'm going to pay very close attention on where my next steps are going to be. I'm not down there to start a war. I'm down
there to monitor the activity
Correct.
of some of these people. I'm going to tell you that right now. Ain't nobody need to be monitoring me with that. I'm going to be, monitoring your ass.
Right.
I'm going to put it that way. All
I
right?
don't expect to
Monitoring
see
your
the
ass.
I guess the governor still has control over his state guard, right?
Yeah, unless you're trying to tell them to go do stuff on the civilians, because that's martial law, and you
Correct.
don't have the right to be doing that.
And that's when Trump would get on the phone saying, fella, you might want to stand down. So,
hey, Two-Face, can you do me a favor? We went over him a while ago, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, Two-Face.
He actually shouldn't even be governor, to tell you the truth.
His
but-
family owned 31 slaves, if you look into it. I mean, this guy is the least, he ain't moving nothing forward.
Well, that's because Democrats today used to be conservatives, and conservatives were Democrats, and they flipped just to
No, you saw
just
that.
to meet somebody's agenda.
You saw that Dinesh thing, same one I watched. Did you see when they talk about that? Because I was always curious about the flip that they talk about. And he talks about it, that there was total Democratic no control, like for them to get, I think it was for voting at this point, and all the Democrats did is didn't filibuster.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore the bill passed. No Democrats voted in favor of it, but they didn't filibuster to waste time. So then the bill made it to the table by the Republicans, and then it passed by Republican votes. Therefore, the Democrats take credit because we're like, well, we didn't get in the way and filibuster.
Right.
Therefore, we did that.
There's
oh my gosh.
Yes.
That blew my mind.
There's a noble or a story of nobility where the Democrats in somewhere between 1940 and 1950 magically overnight swapped parties with the entire Republican Party, and all the Republicans became slave owners from the past.
Even though they didn't.
Right. and then they'll tell you, well, we voted for African Americans to vote. No, you didn't. You unanimously voted against it. Thank God it was a Republican House. You voted against women's rights to vote. No, we didn't. We voted for... No,
They've been the opposers of all human, women, black people. I mean,
Civil rights.
Civil rights. They've been the oppressor of civil rights. Well, now they take credit for trying to be the...
Well, for some reason, they never...
And now that they're doing it they're doing it in the all wrong way. They didn't do it for the citizens of this country, and they're acting like they're trying to do it for the world.
Well, think about this when your kids are in public school. And this is why I hate public schools, because they're teaching today's politics, today's history, not yesterday's history. So if the Democrats can lie See, right now they spent a century owning slaves and going against women's rights and African American rights and the KKK was once slavery was taken away. Then they started the KKK to try to scare these guys back into bondage or what. I don't even know what the hell they were thinking. But they spent a century being evil assholes, right? And today it's state schools. Public schools, and I'm watching it. They don't even teach Vietnam. They don't care what you say. They don't. My kids are old enough to it. One's graduating, one's about to graduate, and neither one of them really found out about Vietnam. So now they're so, what's the word I always say ballsy because I don't know the real professional word. Braze or what?
Brazen.
That they just flat out lie and tell everybody, oh well, in the middle of the night. Half of the congressional members in this country basically stood up, walked across the aisle, and sat down, and that side stood up because they can't tell you the real history because everybody's like, holy shit, you're supposed to be part of it.
There wasn't even really, like, I never took it to be that either. When they talk about switched, I didn't know what they meant, but they took on
our beliefs.
There definitely wasn't a whole bunch of people switching sides to do it. It was just the thing they cite for the switch was that the Republicans had stuff in for, I think, women to vote or something, or maybe it was black people to vote, and they were against it. And that this one time they finally did not filibuster.
They didn't vote
and it allowed for the Republican bill to actually hit the table. All Republicans supported it. No Democrats did, just like we still see today. Right. But they now take credit because they didn't filibuster and get in the way of it going.
That's where the old.
That's what we did for you.
That's where the old adage, an absentee vote is a yay vote. You've heard this before if you've ever practiced Robert's Rule of Order, and you know I've held some offices. Mike's held some offices. If there's a motion on the floor,
is just talking enough to not let something happen.
Yeah, Mr. Scott goes to Washington. I think it was. Is it Mr.
Just talks. Blah, 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 blah. Bernie Sanders, the one I showed. Did you see that one? That's so great when he's filibustering in '91 for the Gulf War. He's saying all this supposed great stuff, but it pans out, and then all of a sudden he's the only one there in Congress. It's all empty. There's one guy there sitting there with his legs crossed, and at one point you see him like flip up his watch. It's like this, the guy that shuts down the equipment.
Right.
He's like, "Are you done yet, man?
I got to turn the lights out, man. I got dinner waiting."
You got the mic and the band, the audio. Okay, cool. I'm out of here.
So I think most of us. I mean, I don't think we'll ever debate or argue it on this show because nobody will come on this show and debate us about how history really works and how both parties actually voted because they would lose. They would lose terribly bad, or just terrible, just terrible. So. Don't believe for 1 second, I suppose I'm not talking to anybody on the show, but don't believe for 1 second that the Democrats give two Fs about your civil rights. They never have. It's my understanding and my belief that they divided the families. They love, back in the 60s, they just destroyed the family structure.
Oh yeah, it was
especially in the inner cities. They
funded that back then, like literally,
God, yes.
Like they do today with these other things. They funded. Let's fund separating women should leave men.
Do you know
separate the household?
Google this, and I dare you. Google who started Planned Parenthood and how she originated. She was the leader of the female Ku Klux Klan in this country. And then she started getting federal and state monies to help her cause. They were eradicating pregnant African American women. Send them in. You talk about horrible stories. They were ripping babies out of bellies for the last 60, 70 years, unbeknownst to the population. And they called it a community outreach. Come in for birth control. Come in for guidance. They were snatching pregnant African American women. Maybe
Margaret Sanger.
People that people that they didn't believe, women that they didn't believe were of the right mindset. They would snatch you in the middle of the night, take you to this place, and because it was funded by the government, they were protected by saying it's what's good for society. Watch the series, The Man in the High Castle. So it's the same stuff. Nazism, same shit. Communism, same shit. They tell you it's what's best for you.
Have you seen that one
your head.
on AMC about because I learned a lot. What's it called? Man, it's that real good one on AMC.
But you really want to get back at the Democrats. Number one, you do your research, you do your homework, you look up the votes, and maybe Mike and I can do that. We can give you the facts of who voted, how they voted, and then I don't want to be responsible for showing you these videos. But just watch an abortion. Just watch an abortion one time. I watched one not too long ago that actually I cried like a baby. They can pick up that the child was screaming or twitching in pain because it's real. I don't want to start my Friday this way, but they pull arms and limbs and things off as they pull that child out.
Oh, yeah.
It's not pleasant. But if you really want to piss the Democrats off, just bring these topics up and be armed with that nasty, nasty information, and you might actually change the conservative liberal. And I'm not saying conservatism is the answer, but I certainly get tired of hearing that the Democrats care about the weak and the meek and the poor. No, they don't. They care about controlling the vote. And as long as you depend on them, they know you're going to vote for them. Why do guys like me don't vote that direction? Because I don't need to depend on them. They really want me to depend on them, but I ain't going to.
We'll leave it at that. That's...
Sorry, that was my abortion rant that's been on my mind ever since I seen that damn video. There's proven science that baby feels that pain. And I just had a baby, and these people that are in power are sick. Planned Parenthood shouldn't even exist.
Not with the funding.
Private doctoring. Kevorkian was killing people that wanted to die.
And that was wrong.
And that was wrong. But the government can back
it's a full-grown adult
of 500,000 children a year. You could fill up Olympic-sized pools with fetuses every year. And my tax dollars and your tax dollars go to it. That, in my opinion, is population control, voting control, and just flat out satanic, man. But these are prominent people in our society that, women's rights, it's my body. They're forgetting the true principle of what they're actually standing up for. It is your body. You don't have the right to, nobody has the right to rape you any more than they have they have the right to rape me or rape a child. But you sick sons of bitches keep giving them 5 or 7 years in jail. You keep funding and supporting abortion.
Is that varies woman to woman too? So you have the ones that it's my body, I can do what I want, and then people back that up. Mm-hmm. But then when they call the guys hey, I'm pregnant, and he's like, I don't want nothing to do with it, abort it. Right. Because there's guys that think that way too. I'm not saying that's right. And then they're like, no, I'm keeping it. And then they end up in court and then just slam down, you will pay.
Right.
You will pay. And it's like, well, geesh.
She had a right, I didn't.
Yeah. To life or not. It's like, well, she wanted that baby. That's her right. It's like, well, dang. I mean, you got the guy there too that maybe didn't want it. Not saying either's right, but there's that dilemma. And it's got to be one way or the other.
They're frauds, man. They're frauds.
It's too much control in our lives.
You can slap right through the Democratic Party's morals very, very simply. Look at the people they put in power. Look what they vote for. Look how they vote, and look what they fund.
And look at the history to see that it's exactly how it's.
We don't want your blacks. We don't want your women. We don't want your babies. We want your votes. And we'll say anything it takes to get it elected. Ask an Indian like Warren.
Yeah.
Who was fired when she was pregnant. There's 2 big lies right there. She insulted women, pregnant women, and she insulted the Native Americans. And they just brush it right underneath the rug. And the next day you'll bump into somebody, Scott, you need to vote Democrat. You need to really listen to Warren. No. She's insulting the very people that she needs to vote for her. And then they turn right around and, Trump, he said grab him by the pussy. He's an evil son of a bitch. At least you heard him say it. He didn't run from it. So, anyway, sorry, right. I did not mean to get off on that tangent, but that is a topic that you can just destroy Democrats with easily.
All right, we are going to shut this one down. No, we are at 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Good Lord.
It was awesome show. I will be back at some point later tonight. Tomorrow again, we'll do another live call-in probably Saturday, and then Sunday we take off. Expect some live shows throughout the day on Sunday, folks. We're geared up in the car. Power's no issue. Nothing drains. No batteries. Everything's plugged in. I got 110 plug-in, so we're good. All right, we're gonna shut this one down. Scott, great having you in studio. We'll be back together Sunday. Patriot Hour family is taking off. We're going on the road with it, and send prayers Sunday morning.
Pray for us. You never know. There's crazies everywhere, and 100 and some thousand people. There's a good chance that there's going to be one or two crazies.
That's right. Links are all below. We appreciate all anything you want to send for us to get down there. We are pretty much good. A little bit of anything extra would be great, but other than that, we're great and golden, and we're heading setting to leave no matter what. We leave Sunday. You guys have a great day and enjoy your Friday.
Protect those rights.
Never give them up.